Hi, I'm Peter, and this is the Peter on Politics channel. This video is called Fair is Foul, Part 2. This video is a continuation of the video I posted yesterday, and the video concerned, well, at least ended with this chart here that I created from data that came from the website I just left. The government of Scotland has a website where it posts mortality data, and what you're looking at here is a chart of mortality data from Scotland that's divided up by week, right? So there's a certain amount of people in Scotland who die every week, and the government keeps track of that. And what this chart shows is 48 years of data. The Scottish government's been doing this for 48 years. I'm 58. This data is almost as old as me, and it goes a long way back. So for 48 years, 52 weeks a year, so this is a lot of data. Scottish data has been recording all-cause mortality, and you can see the 5-year average I pointed out yesterday and the 48-year pattern overlap. I mean, it's the same thing. There's just a regular fact of nature rate of death in Scotland that goes back 48 years. COVID broke that mold. That's the red line. That's 2020. And something really weird is happening. That's the title of this, A Vapor Should Frighten Us Rising from the Moors, coming from this band person Alex. This thing rising from the moors is the scary thing. And what I concluded the video yesterday saying is, it's my guess, it's my hypothesis, it's not a fact, I'm not stating it as a fact, that the suspicion of the rise, this is the beginning of the rise of this strange extra deaths in Scotland, and it is timed suspiciously with the rate of adoption in that area of the gene therapy. So what I woke up this morning and I said, I wonder if I can parse this a little tighter, if I can look, if I can tease out some things, because each of these lines, the red and the blue, include COVID deaths, and if I'm saying my hypothesis is about the gene therapy, I'd like to exclude COVID deaths from these lines and see what the chart shows. So could I get first of all the COVID deaths from the Scottish government? And lo and behold, hell yeah, deaths involving COVID. And they say you can also get it from this link here, Scottish government's COVID dashboard. I come over here, Scottish government dashboard, data.gov.scot, direct health impacts. Oh, look at that. Deaths of COVID, and lo and behold, there's the chart. Ding, 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 ding. These are the COVID deaths, and every dot gives you the week and the number of deaths. And I said, just please give me that in a table form. So you click on data here, and that's this link here. Download the data. The Scottish people, gotta love them. Here's the downloaded spreadsheet. This spreadsheet here is from that link, okay? And they nicely did this. It's the deaths tab. Go over here. And there, they're giving me the COVID deaths by week number, right? So let's look at that. Starting at week 10, 0, 0, 11, 62. This is in 2020, week 10 of 2020. So I'll show you what I did. It's pretty trivial. Remember, this is the CSV I downloaded from this site. I discussed this yesterday. I just copied, this is week 10, 0, 0, 11, 62. I just copied from the other spreadsheet. I made this column. These are the 2020 COVID deaths. COVID deaths, not all cause, just COVID. These are the 2021 COVID deaths. And I said by week. So there you go. COVID deaths by week, COVID deaths by week. And then I did something trivial. I took the 2020 total number, I subtracted the 2020 COVID number, and I end up with the 2020 non-COVID number. These are all-cause mortality in 2020 for that week, excluding COVID. Okay? You see what I'm doing? Trivial. And then I put that into a chart. And this is the chart. And this is what I want to discuss today. And I think it makes my hypothesis even stronger. Red is 2020, blue is 2021. Dotted red is all deaths except for COVID. Dotted blue is all deaths except for COVID. The dotted numbers, I'll point out, are false numbers, meaning that they wouldn't exist in history. Because just subtracting COVID deaths, like to say COVID never came, never hit Scotland, never existed. The dotted lines would not exist in history because who does COVID kill? Kills old people, obese people, people with low vitamin D. And those people are going to die in the wintertime for other reasons, immune-related reasons, cancers, heart attacks, flus, whatever. So the real line, if there was no COVID, would be higher than the dotted lines. Okay? But here's the thing. The dotted red line and the dotted blue line suffer from that same limitation in the way they're false, because you just exclude the COVID deaths, but they do the same thing. So they're apples to apples comparisons. So it's kosher to compare dotted blue with dotted red, which is what I'm going to do in this video. Okay, so let's look at dotted red. That was 2020, and we think of that as the worst year ever. But as we pass the big COVID bubble last year in 2020, we see that the dotted red line travels, for the most part, under the 48-year history, under the gray dots. Okay? Which is, sort of to be expected. We're taking out COVID deaths. But even with the COVID deaths, it dipped right here below the gray, like the solid and dotted dip here. But and then the solid and dotted rise above a little bit here. But here the solid goes way above, but look at the dotted. The dotted is still well below. So this was a COVID surge in late 2020. But if you take those out, then we're down to here. So 2020, no COVID, the dotted line runs under. Let's go to 2021. At the start of the year, we could see that this big surge, I talked about the morgues being open for Christmas in the last video. Last Christmas in Scotland, the morgues were filling with bodies. They were COVID bodies. Look at all this COVID, shrinking COVID, until we get down to here. So now watch, the blue line and dotted line just track each other. They just track each other, they just track each other. There's basically no COVID deaths here. Okay? And then we come to late May. And this is where it starts getting weird. The red line, which was above the dotted red, which was above dotted blue, up until this area here in late May. This is 2020, starts dipping below gray, and blue starts rising above, dotted blue above. And dotted blue, since late May, have stayed at least on or above the 48-year gray history. Okay? You see what's going on there? So these are non-COVID deaths, excluding the COVID deaths. And what we see here is the dotted blue line is above since late May. So we're getting excess deaths, even excluding the COVID deaths. And every 2 weeks, it seems, there's a huge blip, huge blip. 50, 75 extra people, whatever that is. And then now it's getting to be 100 people. This is growing. The area under these little pyramids is now getting really large. These blue dots have not even returned yet, as of now, to the historical line. So, um, like I said, there was a trickle of unexpected deaths. Even excluding COVID, there's still a trickle of and that trickle is growing and growing and growing and growing, and now it's alarming. Alarming, right? People are dying for not COVID reasons, and nobody in Scotland is telling us what they think. And so this is where I say, I don't know either. You don't know. None of us know. But man, is it suspicious. Late May. Late May. You know, and by this point, I've read, like I said yesterday, 90%, over 90% of Scottish people have taken the gene therapy. So, might be something else altogether. Might be something else altogether that is rising from the moors. That's the phrase of the band Alex person. But, you know, in this day of censorship and lack of information, you know, it sure as heck looks like the worst of all, you know, circumstances that none of us would have hoped for. That, you know, maybe the gene therapies are like a devil's bargain, you know. I mean, clearly there's statistics showing that the gene therapies have reduced the severity of illness for people. That is undeniably found in the data, so that's a great thing. And who needed it? Well, the people at highest risk, the oldest, the obese, the low vitamin D. And for a lot of them, it saved their lives. And what this data is not suggesting, I'll even say that's too strong. What this data is scaring me with, frightening us all, rising from the moors, is could it be that those obese and older and low vitamin D people, when they were taking the gene therapy, were making a dice roll? Either it's preventing you from going to the hospital, or it's putting you in the morgue. I'm not saying it did, and I'm not saying that that's what this data is. I'm just saying it's frightening data. And I look forward to those wonderful Scottish people who love their data giving us some answers. To be continued.